All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Deep Dive with me, Stephen Chia, and Crispina Robert. So this week we're talking about getting that medical certificate, and telemedicine is one of the common ways we do it nowadays.
In Singapore, we call it MC, right?
Yep.
Which is a medical certificate.
Yep.
But actually, it's medical leave, essentially. And the medical certificate is the proof.
Yeah.
Okay, how many days MC?
Oh, I've been a great employee. I didn't take any medical leave last year.
No way.
Yeah, I'm just so fit and healthy.
No way. That's no
Hard to
way.
believe. No. To be fair, I did take time off work. There were a few days, but I just told the guys, hey, I'm not feeling well today. I can't come in.
Yeah.
And we just worked around it.
I actually went into my HR system to check. And like you, I only had 2 days. Like I took
No,
only 2 days.
not like me. I didn't take it all. Yeah.
No, okay. So we're close to you. Okay, so maybe let me explain. For MediaCorp, we have 14 days.
Yep.
I think a lot of people do. And 2 days out of that 14 days is for well-being leave. I don't need to say that I'm sick. I can just say I want to take the leave, which makes me wonder, generally it's the work that we do, right? Because
Okay.
I'm quite fortunate. I'm in a team where if I say, hey guys, I'm kind of feeling under the weather, can you cover for me? So does it mean that we weren't sick, Steve, the whole year? Cannot be,
Just
right?
different kind of sickness, right?
No, as in we were sick, but we didn't have to take leave.
Yes, that's right. So
Yeah.
that's where the complication arises.
That
yeah.
is, that
so
is.
sickening.
Very funny. Okay, this issue of medical certificates has come under scrutiny. CNA did a story in 2023 about telehealth providers who issue MCs without so much as a chat. Like in under 1 minute, you can get an MC. And then in February, MOH said it was investigating a clinic for advertising that an MC will cost $5.99. No video. No audio consult, just fill in a couple of questions. I was thinking, my God, that's such a good deal for students trying to skip a class. So that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, how can we, police this? Should we regulate it more? What can we do to sort of make it such that it's used properly? Dr. Verma, maybe we start with you because you see patients both in person and also via telehealth, which means they virtually just call in. If I were in your clinic and I tell you I have a tummy ache, I have a headache, I mean, you can't really verify it because you can't see or, and you'll probably give me an MC if I ask for it, right?
In general, yes. We've actually had a few different scenarios related to this. So when patients do give symptoms like that, like tummy ache or headache, it is difficult to verify, especially when you're doing a telehealth service.
With telehealth, right? You see even less of the person.
Exactly. So you try to make your best clinical judgment. Usually when somebody says they have a headache and they cannot work, doctors do tend to, of course, comply.
Yeah.
But what we can see, of course, is all the medical records and see how frequently patients have been requesting MCs. And if there's any area of concern...
Those guys who go to you can see, right?
Yes, correct.
But if
They
I'm,
doctor hop.
Yeah, if
Yes.
I'm doctor hopping, you can't see my other records, right?
Correct. We cannot.
Yeah.
And this brings the question, is this the only solution that we can have? Because really what we're trying to solve is the question of people abusing or malingering, right? And
Right.
using MC when they're not really
But,
sick.
but from a doctor's
Yeah.
point of view, what is the stand you take? When you're unsure, would you rather give an MC or not give?
We try to use our best clinical judgment. If it's like a one-day MC, we do usually give it.
Yeah.
That being said, right, we have also faced situations where, say, we do suspect potential malingering and we don't readily choose to give a MC. In those cases, we've also faced issues where patients first thing go to like your Google review or App Store and put a 1-star review. So
This is what's happening now.
Right.
Yeah.
When is it that the doctor is being unethical? I think that's the line that MOH wants to draw, right? I mean, it's okay to make a judgment. The guy says he's not feeling well, yeah, sure. But in which cases where it becomes gray, where the doctor is being, unethical?
Unethical would be if a doctor knowingly suspects malingering and then still proceeds to issue an MC.
Right.
I would say that would border on the line of unethical. But if a doctor is using his best clinical judgment, and if a patient comes in with symptoms that are, fairly reasonable,
Yeah.
it's difficult for us to usually discern and not give a
Sure.
MC.
But minimally, you have to see somebody, right?
Telehealth, it's a video consultation. So
Yeah.
you do have to see the person in front of you. That is a strict regulatory requirement that
Okay.
it cannot be without a video
Right.
consultation.
But I think the doctor would, if I were the doctor, I would rather give it than not give it, just in case something happens the next day, he collapses or whatever. I don't want to get sued for, And the doctor can always justify and say, I noticed there were certain symptoms that gave me concern, and therefore I gave him the time off to rest. So I think it's
Yep.
very hard to, when you say malingering, to define. Maybe Christine, you can come in here, because they were saying a lot of MOH, Ministry of Health, said they was getting a lot of feedback from employers about the excessive issuance of MCs. And some people online were saying, in fact, MCs are a waste of time. Why do we even need them, Adults don't need a doctor's note to know when they can and cannot work. So from a company point of view, is it possible to really just get rid of these medical certificates?
Well, I think in a matter of time, we should be do away with this. But the cert itself is serve as a verification
Okay.
to confirm that someone is sick, but also for documentations that they go through the proper way of getting the MC. People are already abusing it in a way, but I must say it's only a handful of them. And we don't penalize
What do you think would be
majority.
the ideal system?
Currently, we tried to go on an unrecorded leave.
Okay.
Some companies give it about high as 4 days, and then like the wellness leave and things like that. But this is mainly just for, like for example, I wake up this morning, I feel a little headache, but I do not need to.
Go and see a doctor.
Yeah, I do not need to, because I might have some leftover medication, and I take that and I rest. And also to help the organization not, it may be contagious that you pass it to other people in their office. That is one. And second thing is that because I'm not going to work today and I need to produce an MC, it might cost more to the organization by going to the doctors, and then you probably need to pay the current the medical fee. So a day of not working and plus the medical fee, I think that can be quite a costly affair.
So you're saying that actually more companies should have, no need for proof
Yes.
MC days.
Correct. One of the company that I know, the first day your MC is not being recorded. Only the second day.
Is that better for a company?
Better for the company for
In
14
terms
days?
of for their operations, for their costs, is it overall a benefit to the company to have unpaid medical leave, so to speak, versus the paid medical leave where they have to pay the insurance company for it?
Definitely the cost is already sunk. It will have to be taken away. I mean, because you will be expecting this someone not reporting to work, sick or not sick, 14 days will be not reporting.
Dr. Verma, you run a company. You have employees.
Yeah.
How do you look
Which
at
would
it?
you prefer?
Yeah. And honestly, we have faced such issues, right? So where our own employees would use MCs often, and then you do question. But then what we realized what had worked for us a bit better, right? If we notice somebody has multiple MCs, right? 3 or 4 MCs, that is when the HR does step in and have a conversation with the employee. We're never against, if somebody's actually sick, we would never hold them back from,
course,
not
yeah.
taking the leave. But you at least try and find out rather than just taking it for face value that somebody's taking MCs every day.
Okay.
Even on the telehealth side, right? Usually we just give maybe 1 day MC if they mention such symptoms. We do mention sometimes they come back and ask for another MC. We said then it is better that they see a doctor in person so that we can do
But-
our full examination.
Out of every 10 patients that may come to you, how often do you reject giving an MC?
Yeah, I would say roughly happens about 10%. And we do try and ask more questions about why they need a MC, what are they working on, which aspect do they feel they're unfit to work on.
Yep.
And if it really doesn't sort of check out or sound reasonable, then we do actually withhold MCs.
Let's come back to this, whole regulation idea. MOH has said that MCs must be given in the context of an existing patient-doctor relationship. To me, it feels like that sounds good in principle. We come from a generation where, you would see a family doctor. Young people nowadays, they don't have this relationship
Correct.
because of telehealth. If this doctor doesn't give me the MC, I'm just going to go to the next guy.
right.
Yeah.
So the premise already is, a bit shaky, right?
Correct.
In fact, just earlier, another person shared a story of how he called into telehealth, wanted an MC. The first doctor said no. So guess what? He just called back again, got another doctor. Same company, and this time he got his MC.
This is tough, right?
It is. I feel sometimes it is a bit unfair for doctors is because we're actually seeing a whole range of conditions for patients, right? All the way from actually medically ill, chronic conditions, patients who need refill, they're actually sick and you need to send antibiotics. And then suddenly you'll have a patient like this who's just asking for MCs. So from a doctor's point of view, it can become a bit challenging to discern 100% of the time, which is why the question may be is whether this is a long-term sustainable solution, or rather should there be maybe a more proactive discussion and engagement with the employer beforehand on how to handle such sick leaves and not always have patients go to see a doctor for MC just to get an MC.
To get some proof that they
It's
don't
a
want to
huge
turn up
drain.
for work.
But
on the healthcare system.
the company at the same time, if they don't fully trust their employees, they say, I need you to prove to me that you are sick. So is trust part of the issue here? If you have a small company, there are only 10 of you and you trust everyone, you'll be like, I know when you're faking it.
To just bring back to the point just now, whether MC is it still necessary? Actually, from HR point of view, allows us to see the pattern. Like the 10 of them that in a small company, you see that always after certain long weekends,
It goes up.
payday, that kind of people go away. So this is something that we can see the pattern. So that is where the trust we're trying to build. We are concerned. We wanted to make sure that you are healthy enough to handle the job. So I think that will be the trust piece of the things that we wanted to drive, and then to make sure that they will not feel that we are penalizing because they're taking MC. But we are
Right.
concerned. Yeah.
I wanted to talk about tech. So one of the things that MOH was worried about is that there seemed to be the same kind of folks who were,
Getting
taking
sick all the
it,
time.
getting sick all the time. I'm assuming that you guys have records, right?
MC.
Especially for health, is it possible to link up? So immediately when somebody calls and says, "Oh, hi doc, I'm sick today," then you can see how
Okay,
many.
so it's a blacklist.
Exactly.
shared
So the
blacklist
same
among all
shared
doctors,
blacklist. So the employer has a blacklist.
Wow.
They have
Yeah.
to deal with it.
Wow.
But you guys have a blacklist too.
Sounds like a bunch of privacy
Yeah,
issues
which is
coming up.
why my
Yeah,
question would
exactly.
be, is MC the only way to keep a record? Like, can the employer just not have a system portal, their HR portal, where people can just report in sick without having to see a doctor? Our healthcare system is strained. This MC culture and MC seeking behavior does add to that strain on resources. So could an employer not have their own little portal, HR portal, where people can just report in sick, and any trends that you need to see, you can see it from there itself.
Okay. So you still report sick, but you don't actually need to see a doctor.
Exactly.
And you
yeah.
can still tell that this guy has been
Possible.
reporting sick like every month on
Yeah,
Friday.
after
The
every public
last
holiday, he's sick for some reason.
The trend.
Yeah.
I think even without the the computing, you can tell, right?
Can tell.
Somebody's
Yeah.
always so Mondays and Fridays are very popular, for example.
But to be
Exactly.
fair, I mean, when we talk about a company, this is a small percentage of people, right?
Yeah, you don't penalize the
Majority,
majority
yeah.
for the minority.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really can see that few of them, and then you just need to address those people, and then find the concern. What happened to you? Is there anything that we can help you from the company point of view, from the medical side of things?
Yeah, this should be the boss should basically be having a chat with this employee and saying, "Hey, are you really sick? I mean, not in that sense, but are you? Yeah, can we help you? That's
Yeah.
yeah.
So we do have case like that, that we actually offer health medical check,
Yeah.
to make sure. And I also have little things like my department, for example, Steve, you're sick. And then the next day, you will need to say hello to your boss and then to share whether are you okay to resume your work. It's just like,
Yeah.
I'm letting you know that I'm aware.
Steven doesn't
Yeah.
see his boss. Steven is the boss.
Yeah,
No, no.
then he can use this for his own team.
No, but I know what you're saying. So in a way, it's
We are concerned.
It works both ways. You do care for your staff, I mean,
Yeah.
and you really want to help them if they really are in the situation.
Yes,
But at the same
that's
time,
the
it
intent.
also lets them know that you have an eye on them.
Yeah, in a
Yeah.
way that, I'm concerned and also knowing that you are not well.
I feel that it's well and good to get people to think about this and have more trust, etc. The reality is many companies just revert to doing what they've always done. In fact, as far back as 2018, an NMP, Irene Key, raised this in a speech. She actually asked MOM to mandate non-MC sick days. She suggested 3 days, right? So it's not left to companies.
Oh, okay.
MOM mandates this and says, okay, everybody now must have 3 non-sick days. Like you can
Yeah.
take an MC without proof.
Unrecorded.
Of course, the natural reaction would be
I don't know. Let's find out. What would the from the HR point of view, is this good or like, oh my gosh?
this is an honor-based system,
Yeah.
but mandating is different from saying
Correct.
it's a
Yeah,
good idea.
it's-
Why don't you try?
So in a way, by saying 14 plus 3, it sounds like you're classifying it almost as annual leave already. You
Sort of.
you
No,
have to
I
because
thought it
it's-
was the 3 embedded in the 14. So of the 14 days,
or 3 of them.
Oh,
3
okay.
are
Not
You don't need
recorded.
to
not
record.
recorded.
Indirectly, the company have saved the 4 days that I suggested. I mean, that we had.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so
In terms
you
of
have
cost.
saved. Yeah, in terms of cost, yes. And
Do you think
then-
they should be mandated? Like they should say, okay, everybody now has to do this now in order to change this whole MC seeking culture?
Yeah, I would share, right? Like, I think what the whole premise does need to be is a bit more communication with the employer and the employee. One of the challenges that we've also seen as facing a company is, right, when employees present MCs, the employers cannot question it as well, right? Like, it's very difficult to say, oh, this is a incorrect MC, or,
Okay.
we don't believe
Yep.
your MC because the doctor has given it. But rather, right, so people actually feel they're cleared, that I get a MC, that means I cannot be questioned, I can take a leave. So if we do move to that where you are not really issuing a MC and you're taking a sick leave, it can lead to a better engagement and discussion between the employer and employee. We're absolutely been okay to take sick leave, but if somebody, like you said, has these trends and is continuously taking MCs, then it can lead to a better engagement and discussion, and then the employer can decide whether they want to take any action or seize certain kind of
Ironically, I
behavior.
imagine if I were an employee who wanted to malinger, who get away with the 3 days, I would still go take the MC. Because it's easier to just take an MC rather than to have to speak to my boss and say, hey, boss, right?
MOM would say, no, I mean, we don't mandate these kinds of things.
Correct.
It's up to businesses. Because if you're running an F&B, for example, I mean, maybe you
Exactly.
want it to be a little bit stricter.
At the end of the day, a company is trying to build trust within its team, right?
Yeah.
You have to trust first in order for them to
Correct.
trust back, right? So, I mean, I like to say that I think I'm very privileged in that sense that here at MediaCorp, in a way, we work in a way where there's a lot of trust. And because of our line of work, it's very hard to define exact working hours.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is also allows for a bit of that flexibility. But if I have to be behind a bar or behind a counter selling tickets, then it makes it a lot more challenging,
Yes,
right?
Yep.
and shift-based systems, right?
Oh,
where,
yeah.
where somebody's working from, say, 8 to 8, and then they suddenly take an MC. It's a big challenge for the employer to then suddenly
schedules
find
and-
last-minute cover
Exactly.
to those slots.
Yep.
Which is why it does become important if somebody's continuously missing their shifts or rostered shifts, that there needs to be a discussion between the employer and employee.
Perhaps the issue really is a question of employers and communicating with their employees, right?
Apart from communicating, I think the policy have to be very clear, and everyone understands why the policies is in place, communicate clearly, and also to build the trust of we are worried of your health instead of why are you doing away with the free days.
Right.
Yeah, I think that is important.
You're mentioning how scheduling and shifts can be thrown out of whack when the last minute, MC is taken. Maybe companies need to also anticipate that. In other words, whenever you plan a roster, I know like with flight attendants, there's always somebody on standby because they know at the last minute somebody could get sick, and you can activate another person right away. So it doesn't throw everything out of whack.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we start right with that kind of mindset, does it not help?
That is the ideal, but
Yeah.
because of the current manpower crunch, it can be already on the main shift is already
maxed out.
max.
Yeah.
You don't have enough nurses.
And
for
also to be
Correct.
fair, why people are taking MC is also the
Just tired.
just tired. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's too overwhelmed on the day. job
Exactly.
itself. Yeah.
So maybe the problem is with the company, right? With the work,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's not engaging. Maybe there's something
Correct.
else
So
that's
it's
going
more
on.
than just MC. It will have
Right.
a lot of other little things that to do to make them feel excited to come to work every
Yeah.
day. And I see examples that when giving flexibility, like what Steve
Yeah.
just mentioned, the flexibility actually allows employee more. The retention is much more better.
There is no clear answer to this, and I think from our discussion, it sounds like it really does take two to tango in terms of the management, the company, and the staff as well to not abuse the system. And
Right.
if you can find that sweet spot, that balance, then actually regulation doesn't need to come in. And I think when regulation comes in, it's a bit unfortunate because when you have to force people to act a certain way,
Yeah. Yeah.
it also says something.
Yeah, I agree. Completely agree. I just feel like telemedicine has been a long time in coming, telehealth.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. It's the savings on cost, on time, and of course, resources, right? So if I have a garden variety flu, I should not have to go to see the doctor,
Yeah.
mix with all these other sick people just to get an MC, right? So I love that that's moved in that direction, and I think there's no going back. It's just that there are bad actors on both sides.
So if you just need medication, you can just buy it from the pharmacy, or you can take the ones you had from your previous visit. Although, okay, if you're
Please
wondering
check
whether...
for expiry.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yes,
can watch
expiry.
a Talking Point episode about expired medicine, and we'll tell you whether you should or should not be taking it.
Okay.
Thank you both for joining us.
And also thanks, of course, to our podcast team. The team behind this podcast are Tiffany Ang, Junaini, Johari, Joanne Chan, Saya Win. Sound mixing by Ken Delbridge. And of course, if you're joining us on YouTube or any other platform, do subscribe and just click on the link below. See you next week.